I just want to ask, I have a CD that's coming due in about 10 days, and I was wondering, the interest rates right now are really bad, and I was wondering if you know anything about these corporate bonds, like a 8% for Ford and a 9.5 for a Smithfield Foods. Do you know if any of those are safe to put your money in, or?
Well, now, anything that's going to pay a high yield like that, especially if it's a bond, that means they obviously are needing money, right? A bond is really just a loan. Think about this, Sharon. If I needed to borrow some money from you and things were tight, right? And I was having trouble borrowing money, I would be willing to pay you a higher interest rate, correct?
Right.
Let's say because you're the only one that's going to loan me the money. Now, if I'm going to pay you a higher interest rate and I seem a little desperate for money, it's not that I'm going to default on the loan or that you should be overly concerned, but you should be concerned, right?
Yes.
Because let's say maybe a bank is only loaning money out at borrowing money at 4% or whatever. So I wouldn't say shy away from those bonds, but realize there's a lot of risk inherent in a bond. I think a lot of people think a corporate bond, because it has a big name behind it, is all well intentioned, and it might be, but they could still default on that loan, and the bond could collapse. Also, you got to remember with interest rates, if it's a long-term bond, if interest rates do go up, the value of that bond goes down. And I don't know if you could get to it tonight, Sharon. You might be a good candidate for these fixed annuities we're talking about tonight at tonight's workshop. A lot of people are starting to gravitate towards those. There's a Gallup poll that recently came out, and what's interesting is the amount of people that are buying these fixed annuity products because they pay a very reasonable amount of interest. They're tax deferred instead of taxable, and they're just very flexible to use for retirement planning. So again, if you can get by tonight, we're talking about those. I would just make sure you understand that the bond could default, and talk to your broker or whoever is selling it to you, and make sure there's not any other bonds that you might like, okay?
Okay. Do you think bonds are a good way to go, like through, say, who you work with as far as a financial advisor? Or?
Yeah. Okay. I'm okay with bonds. You just got to realize, I think bonds, people tend to think bonds are just safe. You know, a bond sounds safe. All I'm saying is some bonds can be very volatile and very risky. So, but I do like bonds.